I practiced the flirt hack tutorial for a solid hour at 3 a.m. I want kisses cuddles and spin hugs till tummies rum. Need cakey wakey, then my thumb slipped and the whole voice note spam. Went to my brother's frosty best friend, Julian. The next morning, suit impeccable. He was at my loft door, voice low and gravel rough. Didn't you ask for kisses cuddles? Later I found out he's been silently in love with me for 5 years. At 2:17 a.m. I was staring at the ceiling, eyes as bright as searchlights. Melody. Go to sleep, you have a pitch tomorrow. I rolled over and mashed my face into the pillow. 3 seconds later I rolled back and fished out my phone. Just 5 minutes, I swore, thumb already opening TikTok. The algorithm knew me, homepage packed with washboard abs and fur baby clips. I kept swiping until a title snagged me, do clingy girls win? 3 tricks to make any guy obey, ancient patriarchal garbage. I scoffed then tapped anyway. The creator had a baby doll face and syrup sweet voice. Ladies, acting cute isn't bratty. It's high EQ communication. Lesson 1, the double word hack. I watched the whole clip. Then binged her entire flirt hack tutorial. This stuff actually works, I muttered, buzzed. I study like a grind. Of course I have to field test. My sandbox days BFF Mia just got a boyfriend and keeps showing off. In our group chat, cuteness is a woman's nuke, so why not? I sat up, cleared my throat, hacked twice, and got to work. Minutes later I opened a message. Tapped Mia's chat and rehearsed, babe you asleep, to syrupy. I tried again. More natural, babe. I can't sleepy, perfect. I launched the voice note spam, babe, your cutie pops in. Moo-ah, miss you so much I'm insomnia. Tummy hungry, want babe bot cakey wakey. Kisses cuddles and spin hugs, one less and I pout. Need babe to coax me to sleepy. I got drunk on my own supply double words, sing-song endings. A hail of emoji. At voice memo 20 I freestyled, babe smells so yummy, wanna bury in your chest, no. Kisses, I'll prank you, mwah, let's have bath time together. I'll scrub your back. I tossed the phone aside. Satisfied by the pink bubble takeover and crashed. Sunlight woke me at 9:30, crap pitch. I rocketed up, grabbed my phone, and nearly fainted at 99 WhatsApp pings. Mia's up early? And she replied that much. I rubbed my eyes, opened the app and my blood froze. The name on top wasn't Mia. It was Julian. My brother's ice prince best friend / my own childhood shadow? I'd misdapped and sent him the entire shameless playlist? I scrolled with trembling fingers, every sugary line glared in daylight. Worse, each bubble wore the tiny tag read, every dot single dot one. Let me die. I peeked through my fingers at his replies, 3:02 a.m. Julian, 3:03 a.m. Julian, can't sleep. 3:04 a.m. Julian, hungry. 3:05 a.m. Julian, cake? Don't have any now, I'll bring some tomorrow. 3:05 to 3:58 a.m. typing for a.m. Julian, quit fooling around, go to bed. 7 a.m. Julian, awake? I'm outside, 5 minutes ago, brought you cake and boba latte, buzz you in. I stared. Brain blue screened. Julian, who my brother swears has zero human emotions, is downstairs with snacks. My phone buzzed, I almost threw it. Incoming, Julian. I fumbled the accept and his low, cool voice arrived before I could speak. Awake? J. Julian, I vibrated. Let me explain, buzz me in first. The boba is getting cold. I tumbled off the bed, checked the peephole. There he was, razor crease black suit, paper bag in left hand, phone in right. Morning light painted gold over his carved edges. I sucked in air and opened. Morning, he dipped his chin, gaze sliding to my bird nest hair and rumpled tee. Pretty sure he smirked, must be a hallucination. Julian doesn't smile, I'm sorry. I bowed 90 degrees. Wrong recipient, none of that was meant for you. A few seconds of silence. I figured, calmly he lifted the paper bag, but you said you were hungry. I peeked inside strawberry shortcake. And my exact go-to boba. How do you know my order? His eyes brushed mine, skipped my heartbeat. Derek mentioned, oh really sorry for wrecking your sleep, don't stress. I waved frantic hands. I've got it. I stood there hugging cake and boba like a statue. Aren't you inviting me in? One brow arched. His gaze flicked to my collarbone peeking from the slipping neckline. I yanked the fabric up. I have to run pitch. I know. He checked his watch. I'll drive. Huh? On my way. He spoke like each syllable cost him $1. I opened my mouth, wanting to refuse. But Julian had already turned toward the elevator and tossed over his shoulder, 10 minutes, I'll be outside. The door shut. I instantly sent Mia a voice note, help. I accidentally spammed Julian with my flirt hack tutorial last night. Now he's outside my loft. Mia answered in a second, holy crap. That ice queen Julian. That's him. How did he react? He brought me cakey wakey and boba latte. I stared at the strawberry shortcake in the paper bag. It was still warm. And he's driving me to my pitch. 3 seconds of silence on her end, then an earth-shaking laugh burst out. Ha ha ha, Melody, you're toast. Julian totally likes you. No way. I scrambled into fresh clothes. He's warmer to Derek than to me when my brother had a fever. Julian drove him to there at midnight. Last year when I had food poisoning, he just texted drink more water. Mia was speechless. That's because he ate your cooking and got poisoned too. I had no comeback, plus, those kisses, cuddles and spin hugs messages you sent. Any normal person would have blocked you, okay? Mia got more excited by the second instead. He brings you breakfast. Isn't that obvious? My hand shook while I put on lipstick. The line smeared into the corner of my mouth. Obvious about what? He's into you, dummy. My hand jerked again, ruining the lipstick completely. 10 minutes later, I tiptoed downstairs. Julian's car was parked dead center, a discreet black Mercedes. He leaned against the door. Long legs crossed, scrolling on his phone. Sunlight poured over him, outlining that unfairly perfect profile. I had to admit Julian was ridiculously good-looking if you ignored the glacier expression. Get in. He pocketed the phone and opened the passenger door for me. I slid in carefully. The cabin smelled faintly of cedar, exactly like him. He bent toward me. I froze. Seatbelt. He pulled the belt across me, his knuckles brushing my collarbone and sending a shiver through me. The car glided out of the complex. My palms sweated, so I pretended to focus on eating cake. Tastes good. He spoke at the red light. Yeah. I nodded. The flavor's familiar. Have I had this before? Julian kept his eyes on the road. Your birthday last year. I sent one. I blanked. That anonymous cake that arrived at the office, I'd figured it was from some secret admirer coworker. You baked it? I asked cautiously. He gave a soft the tips of his ears turning pink. My heart pounded. I scrambled for a new topic. Right, how do you know my investor? College roommate. What a coincidence. Not really. He glanced over. I referred him. What? I almost choked on my boba latte. You did. Your startup is solid, he said, as casually as discussing the weather, worthy of funding. I didn't know what to say, so I attacked my straw. Julian had quietly watched my company all along. This was the same Julian who used to ignore me? He stopped outside the office tower. I was about to jump out when he said, wait. He reached over and thumbed away a smear at the corner of my mouth. Lipstick, you smudged it. His finger was warm. The touch featherlight. I sat dumbstruck while he calmly wiped the red off his thumb with a tissue. What time does your pitch end? He asked. Around noon. I'll pick you up. No need. I waved both hands. I can 12 sharp. He cut me off. No room for argument. Skip lunch. I'm taking you to a new place. Then he nudged me gently. Go. Don't be late. In a daze, I walked into the lobby, only waking up in the elevator. Julian had just asked me to lunch. The pitch went smoother than smooth. Investor Mr. Davis raved about my deck and signed the term sheet on the spot. After the signatures, he beamed. How long have you known Julian? I nearly bit my tongue. We've basically grown up together. No wonder. Mr. Davis smiled meaningfully. He's never pushed a project this hard. My cheeks burned. I didn't know how to answer. The meeting wrapped early. 11-30. I messaged Julian. Pitch. Done. I'll wait for you in the lobby cafe. He replied instantly. I sat in the cafe, scrolling without seeing. Suddenly a tall guy walked in, gold-rimmed glasses, razor-sharp suit, straight off a GQ cover. My gaze followed him on its own. God, those legs and real. While I was staring, a frosty voice sounded beside my ear. Enjoying the view? I almost fell off my chair. Julian had appeared behind me, his face thunderdark. I stammered. He leaned down, lips almost grazing my ear. Does he look better, or do I? His breath brushed my skin, sending tingles everywhere. My heart hammered. I didn't dare lift my head. What was wrong with him? Flirting out of nowhere? Julian straightened, expression blank, and picked up my bag. Let's go. Lunch. I trailed after him like a guilty puppy. At the door we met. The glasses hung head-on. Julian slid an arm around my waist and pulled me flush to his side. Julian. I squeaked. He ignored me, tightened his grip, and marched us out of the cafe. What are you doing? I demanded once we were in the car. Julian clicked his seatbelt, then looked at me, gaze dangerous. Don't look at other men again. Why not? I shot back without thinking. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel for a second. He didn't speak, just turned those eyes on me. Storm cloud dark. Emotions I couldn't read churning under the surface like a sea before a typhoon. No. His voice was lower than usual, final and absolute. Only 2 words, yet they made my heart skip a beat. I opened my mouth to argue, but under his burning gaze I inexplicably ran out of air. Buckle up. He looked away, voice cooling back to its usual calm, as if that flash of losing control had been my imagination. The engine purred to life and I sneaked a sit-along glance at Julian. His jawline was clamped tight, his Adam's apple slid once. His left hand stayed on the wheel while his right shot over, unerringly locking around my wrist. I jumped, yet couldn't break free. His thumb brushed the pulse point where my heart hammered like a drum. Stop looking. He spoke suddenly, the barest thread of resigned helplessness in his tone. Focus on your food. Only then did I notice we were parked at the restaurant curb. Julian released me, the side of his face gilded by sunlight as he unclicked his seatbelt, lashes casting tiny broken shadows across his cheek. Fine, I silently withdrew my gaze. Nothing much to look at anyway. Nothing compared to him anyway. I was still sitting in Julian's car, heartbeat ricocheting from that unexpected kiss, when my phone blared. The screen glared 3 huge characters: Derek Sterling. My brother. My hand jerked so hard I nearly flung the phone. Julian flicked a look at me, tone flat, not picking up. I'm picking up, I swallowed, stabbed the answer button with a trembling finger. Hey, big bro? His lazy drawl floated through. Melody, how far have you and Julian gotten? Cough. I almost choked on my own spit. Julian, Derek? I frantically thumped my chest, voice cracking. Bro, what are you babbling about? Nothing's going on between us. To beats of silence, then my brother said ominously, oh? Then explain those 100+ flirty voice notes you spammed him last night. I fossilized. Julian tapped the steering wheel twice, the corner of his mouth lifting a micrometer. Bro, how did you even? My voice quavered, HMPH. He gave an icy chuckle. Went drinking with him. Dude stared at his phone the whole night, grinning like a psycho. Julian laughed. I whipped my head toward him. His expression was blank, but the tips of his ears were suspiciously red. And then? I croaked. Then? My brother drawled. Halfway through he suddenly stood up, said, I've got a cake to bake, and ditched me. After that, at 4:m, he messaged asking which boba latte place you like. Melody. Derek's voice went deadly serious. If something is going on, you'd better confess right now. I couldn't breathe. Julian reached over, plucked the phone from my hand and said calmly, let me, wait. Julian, don't. I lunged, but he pinned me with one hand on my forehead. My brother's voice spiked through the speaker. Julian, you two are together right now. Julian, yeah. Derek, so? Julian, I'm pursuing her. Me? Derek, 3 seconds of dead air. Then my brother hissed, Julian, you damn well better explain. Julian, unruffled, explain what? Explain why you're suddenly pouncing on my little sister. Not sudden. Julian paused. 5 years. My brain exploded. 5 years? Across the line, Derek went mute. Finally he muttered, fine, Julian, you win, and hung up. I stared at the dead phone, turned to Julian in slow motion. 5 years? He said nothing, just eased the car to the curb and looked at me. Sunlight poured through the window across his profile. His gaze was focused, serene like someone who'd waited for this moment forever. Melody, he said softly, now are you still going to ask on what grounds? I opened my mouth, but no words came, because his eyes told me he'd fallen for me long, long ago, much earlier than I ever imagined. After that day, I avoided Julian for a solid week. No WhatsApp replies, no answering calls, not even the family dinner my brother arranged. Because Julian would definitely show, I chickened out, plain and simple. Truth is, I'd nursed a tiny crush on Julian before. Sure, he's handsome, built, and brilliant, basically flawless except for that glacier personality. But that was exactly the problem. He's too cold. When had I, Melody, ever bowed to any guy? Yet Julian treated me like a spreadsheet. Stray cats on the sidewalk were warmer. Eventually my pride smothered that little spark. Like him. Might as well like a wooden plank, at least the plank won't embarrass me, I told myself, then spun on my heel and pretended I'd never cared. Until that late night flirt hack fiasco, until he said, 5 years. Arg, I'm losing it. I buried my face in a throw pillow and rolled across the tabletop. My phone buzzed again. I peeked. Julian. Free for lunch? I stared at the message for 10 full seconds, typed, deleted, typed, finally answered with one word, no. The other side paused, then, I'm outside your building. I sprang from the chair and darted to the window. Sure enough, that familiar black Mercedes idled at the main doors, Julian leaning against it in a crisp suit, holding another boba latte and a box of strawberry shortcake. My pulse rocketed, my knuckles went white on the curtain. Why was he at my office? Wait, the point is, why is he here again? Another buzz. I see you. I jumped back so fast I almost rammed my desk. When I peeked again, he was staring up, gaze locked exactly on my window. Crap, busted. I sucked in a breath and texted back, shamefaced, I'm swamped, really can't. Julian, Julian, then I'll wait until you're off. Me, what's with this guy? You used to blow me off without a second thought, and now, just because I sent the wrong message, you're chasing me like your life depends on it. I ground my teeth and typed, don't wait. I'm working late tonight. Julian, okay. Julian, I'll keep you company while you work. I lost completely. 5 minutes later I slunk downstairs. The second he spotted me, the corner of Julian's mouth lifted a hair. He pressed a boba latte into my hand. Room temp, half sugar. He even remembers how I take my boba. I grabbed the drink and fought to keep my face stern. Julian, what exactly do you want? He looked down at me, gaze steady. To stop you from hiding from me. I'm not hiding. A week of radio silence, no calls, dodging even your brother's dinner invite. His voice stayed level. That's not hiding, busted. I snapped, mortified, and what about you? You used to ice me out, now you're suddenly all sweet? Julian, are you messing with me? He went quiet, then reached out and gently caught my hand, forcing my eyes to his. Melody. His voice was low, rough. This isn't sudden. You just never looked my way long enough to notice. My heart lurched. Sunlight dusted his lashes, throwing tiny flecks of shadow. For the first time I realized his eyes could be this soft. Damn it, I think I'm falling again. I chewed the straw and sipped, gloomy. The sweetness was perfect, the temperature perfect. How could he remember every detail? Hey, I hesitated, then blurted, do you seriously like me for 5 whole years? Instead of answering, Julian pulled open the passenger door. Get in. Why? I'm taking you somewhere. I eyed him suspiciously, but his expression gave nothing away. Screw it. I can't dodge him forever, might as well see what stunt he's pulling. I climbed in. Julian circled to the driver's seat and started the engine. Inside the car it was hushed, only the faint whoosh of the AC. I sneaked a glance. His knuckles tightened on the wheel, taut, defined, ridiculously elegant. Even his hands are gorgeous, so unfair. See something you like? He spoke without warning. I whipped my head away. Nope. He chuckled softly and let me off the hook. The car stopped in front of our old high school Riverside. Stunned, I asked, what are we doing here? Julian unbuckled. Out. I followed him onto campus. School was out, only a couple of gardeners clipped the lawns. He led me like he owned the place, around the main building to the little auditorium and pushed the door. Hanging on the wall was a photo from the talent show 5 years ago. I froze. In it, 17-year-old me stood on stage in a pale yellow sundress, mic in hand, beaming. In the front row corner sat Julian, already tall then, in his uniform. Face blank, yet his stare shot straight at the stage, straight at me. This is. My voice shook. Julian stepped behind me, tone quiet. The first moment I knew I liked you. That day, after you sang, you almost tripped running off stage and I caught you. I sort of remember, but I was too hyped to notice who'd steadied me. You said thanks and bolted to your friends. He paused. You never once looked at me. My heart twisted. And then? I whispered. Then, he walked to the window, dappled sunlight slid across him. I tried getting closer, but you seemed to hate me. I did not. I fired back. He turned. Then why did you dodge me every time? I choked. Because I thought you hated me, because I didn't want to look pathetic. Reading my mind, he shook his head, helpless. Melody, you never gave me a chance. My nose stung, suddenly I wanted to cry. All those years we'd missed were just my own assumptions plus his lousy way with words. After Julian finished the impromptu tour, my brain was mush. He's crushed on me for 5 years and I was convinced he couldn't stand me? The plot twist beat any K-drama. I half wondered if I was dreaming. As I spaced out by the gate, a familiar voice rang out behind me. Melody, Julian? Is that really you too? We spun around. A silver-haired, elegant woman in tortoiseshell glasses beamed at us. Mrs. Clark. My eyes bulged. Our high school English teacher, still everyone's favorite, approached, gaze flicking between us until she nodded, satisfied. Finally together, are we? My cheeks combusted. I stammered, and Mrs. Clark, you've got it wrong. We're not? She arched a brow at Julian. So the essay where this kid wrote, I want to get into the same college as the girl I like, that was fiction. I whipped toward Julian. He froze, ears flaming scarlet. Mrs. Clark's smile turned wicked. Melody, you probably don't know, he gave up foreign universities just to follow you here. Me, Julian, the air solidified. Clearly enjoying herself, she added, oh, and Melody. Remember those anonymous notes senior year? I blinked. What notes? Every month after exams, someone tucked a secret prep notebook into your desk. She adjusted her glasses. Perfect penmanship, crystal clear key points, solution strategies spelled out. My jaw dropped. That notebook, the one that vanished after finals and left me searching for months. I'd figured some secret brainiac admirer, maybe the boy next door valedictorian. Turns out it was Julian staring at him. I couldn't believe it. He looked away, voice low. Just something I did on the side. Just on the side. Who else keeps a streak going for a whole year without even trying? Mrs. Clark grinned like an old fox. All right, I won't play chaperone anymore. Melody, come visit the campus when you're free. The faculty still talk about you. With that she sauntered off, waving stylishly, leaving Julian and me standing there, one of us crimson-faced, the other with ears so red they could drip. The ride back was terrifyingly quiet. I hugged my boba latte. and suddenly remembered a TikTok I'd scrolled past a few days ago. A laugh burst out before I could stop it. What's funny? Julian glanced sideways at me. I tilted my head. Julian, don't you think we're exactly like that TikTok? Which one? The one that goes, I stretched the vowel on purpose. Congratulations, you won. Too bad the ticket expired. His fingers paused for a millisecond on the steering wheel. I pushed on. If I hadn't spammed you with voice notes by mistake. Were you really planning to stay silent forever? He was quiet a beat, voice low. Yeah, why? Because I was scared you'd hate me. I froze. Sunlight poured through the window, tracing the rigid line of his jaw, and it hit me. This man everyone thinks is carved from ice is actually afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of being disliked, afraid we couldn't even stay friends. My nose stung. I muttered, idiot. Julian didn't catch it. What? I turned to him and put on a fierce scowl. I said if you'd confessed earlier, our kid could be old enough to fetch soy sauce by now. The car jerked to a stop. Julian looked at me, eyes dark and bottomless. Making it up now isn't too late. Hold on, that's not what I meant. When Julian said, making it up now isn't too late, I thought he was joking. Turns out he was dead serious. Next morning I opened my door, half asleep, and found him in a crisp suit, breakfast in hand, calm as if he were presenting a term sheet. Starting today, I'm officially courting you. Me? Who on earth pursues someone with that boardroom tone? But I quickly discovered Julian's courtship mirrors the man himself. Icy surface, batshit crazy underneath. For instance, every single morning he materializes at my loft, rain or shine, even my doorman knows his name. I casually mentioned I crave the viral strawberry shortcake from East Side, and by noon he'd driven across the city and back to deliver it. I worked late, he waited outside until midnight, then silently drove me home without a word. The craziest, one night I posted a selfie on Instagram, with the caption another day of no one wanting me. 5 minutes later Julian rang my doorbell holding the family registry booklet. Me? Straight-faced, he said, now someone wants you, help. When my brother heard about us, he was unnervingly calm. At a family hot pot dinner he asked Julian without looking up from the lamb. So when are you two getting married? Asterisk PFFT. Asterisk I sprayed Coke everywhere. Julian handed me a napkin unruffled and answered, up to her. Me? Hold up, who said anything about marriage? My brother nodded, wearing an I-knew-it all along smirk. Fine, I'll negotiate the bride price gift for you. That downtown penthouse should do. Me, Derek. Julian, deal. Could either of you consult me first? Dating Julian felt like meeting his secret identical twin. More precisely, he only shapeshifts when we're alone. To the outside world he's still the untouchable Mr. Sterling, but with me, Melody. He trapped me in a corner of my office, voice husky. How many times have you checked out that new hire today? Me, it was one glance. His eyes narrowed, one glance is still too many. Then he kissed me until my knees buckled and I had to cling to him. This isn't an iceberg, it's a live volcano. One night I was curled on the couch scrolling when a random thought struck, Julian. I poked his waist. What did you actually write in that college entrance essay back then? His whole body tensed. He pretended to study the file in his hand. Don't remember. Liar, I lunged for the file. Mrs. Clark said it was about me. He sighed, pinned my flailing hands, then pulled an old notebook from the shelf and handed it over. My secret prep notebook, the one I'd hunted everywhere, had found its way back to him. Stingy bastard. I flipped to the last page. A folded essay sheet slipped out, the handwriting bold and neat. I want to go to the same college as Melody. I want to be with her. I want a future with her. Dated 1 month before our entrance exam. Tears blurred my vision. Julian wrapped his arms around me. Chin resting on my head. Now we have that future. 3 months later he proposed. Flowers, balloons, the whole romantic shebang. He slid the ring on and said, Melody, marry me. Looking at his trembling fingers, I laughed, sure. He froze, obviously expecting a longer negotiation. I leaned in to brush his lips because I know a certain idiot has waited 5 whole years for this day. Julian crushed me to his chest, shaking with relief. Perfect, love in its best form, catching up on every single day we almost missed. Together, the end.